All right, we're going to have the opening for the February 4th meeting. We'll have the invocation by Mr. Hart, then Pledge of Allegiance by Commissioner Firstner, then the roll call. Please stand.
Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for blessing us to celebrate 100 years of history here in Ocoee. And Father, as we come together, let us come together in the spirit of unity. Let us not, even though we may disagree, let us not disagree, but work together in the spirit as brothers and sisters. We say a special prayer over our city staff, and we pray a special prayer for our first responders. Be with them on every call. Have their six, have their backup. As they watch over us, Father, you watch over them. We're so careful to give you the praise, the honor, and the glory you do. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Commissioner Kennedy?
Here.
Commissioner Wilson?
Here.
Mayor Johnson?
Here.
Commissioner Firstner?
Here.
Commissioner Oliver?
Here.
All right, on the presentations, we have the 2025 Black History Month proclamation hung. It's on the TV for the city, and we have it out in the hallway on the wall. So please stop by and read it if you would. All right, staff reports.
Thank you, Mayor. I have several items this evening. The first regards item number 3, which is the approval of the 429 Business Center plat. Due to some issues with the applicant and the printing of the plat, it's been requested that we continue that to the February 18th City Commission meeting. So request that that be pulled and continued to a date certain. And then the second thing I have on my list is you have a little map in front of you on the dais here. We have an event coming up on March 1st, which is our city's conservation event, formerly known as Spring Fling. And there are some road closures, which for the city code, you guys have to approve the road closures for any and all events. So I would recommend that you, by consensus, authorize per staff recommendation to execute any and all necessary road closures associated with that conservation event.
All right, everybody consensus?
Yep.
All right, good. So moved.
Okay, moving along. The next item, I promised to report back to you after some items were brought up at the last commission meeting regarding lighting in our city. And our city staff has met with Duke Energy. Since that time, we covered the following projects. South McGuire, Duke will be adding 2 additional median lights south of the Roberson intersection. Item number 2, on South McGuire, Duke will provide costs to add lighting to existing poles to the southern city limit. Item number 3, Clark Road, Duke will provide costs to upgrade poles for holiday outlets from Silver Star north to Clark and Ocoee. Please, let's not talk about the holiday lights tonight. Item number 4, Oakland Avenue, there will be providing an update to us on when they will complete all of the upgrades. As you recall, we are setting up Oakland to eventually become a downtown type commercial urban core area. McKee Street, they are getting a lighting estimate and sending that to us. The next one is Franklin and Cumberland. There are 14 lights that we have identified associated with Unity Park that they will be working with us to complete. And last but not least, we're proposing new lighting on Kissimmee Avenue from north of the last pole at McGuire to Floral Street. So city staff has spoken with the community outreach coordinator as well as one of their top project managers / engineers, and we will be having a regular weekly update from Duke on that. I'll report back again at the next commission meeting. And lastly, on a more unpleasant note, we have an update for the final completion of Clark Road. And what I have to report is for The week of the 3rd, this week, the landscaping contractor is supposed to be finishing all irrigation landscaping. The following week, Seminole Paving is scheduled to be on site for all final milling, resurfacing, and striping. And the week of February 10th was the first available week that Seminole Paving had on their schedule based on their workload. And, you know, candidly, I think we're kind of a small fry in the big picture for some of our contractors. So we don't have first consideration on their scheduling. And that's what led to some of the delay there. Both Lennar Homes, who we originally contracted with, and the GC have set February 26th as the date for final completion, A to Z, everything all out the door. And that's all I have.
All right. They didn't send the price too, did they? All right, public comments. Mr. Moyer.
Good evening. Oh, sorry. Dr. Jim Moyer, Arden Park. I'm also the Orange Soil and Water Conservation District 2 Supervisor, recently elected. As the mayor said, this is Black History Month. And I know that love will ultimately be the solution to all mankind's problems. And I will talk about it every day, everywhere I go. That's Reverend Martin Luther King, Jr., Doctorate of Theology, 1955, Boston University. Desmond Tutu, who's a Nobel Prize winner from South Africa, said, basically, and I'm paraphrasing, I'm not going to be able to say it nearly as eloquently as he did, but he basically said, a long time ago, Europeans came to the land of Africa. They brought their Bibles. They asked us to pray and bow our heads and close our eyes. When we opened our eyes, we had the Bible, they had the land. Well, that all changed during some of our lifetimes through the efforts of Mohandas Gandhi, Dr. Martin Luther King, and the Honorable Nelson Mandela, former president of South Africa. And the easy way to know that that's a fact is in 1900, there were 119 countries in this world. When Nelson Mandela died in 2013, there were 195. Almost all of them were independent countries. So I contend to all of you that Black History Month in the United States is not just an American history, it is global history. So thank you. I also want to mention that I have the honor for almost 2 years now to be the political director for the Florida Asian American Justice Alliance, and we're having an inaugural Lunar New Year event in Avita for this entire region. You're all welcome to join in celebration. It's a day of fun, family, and lots of food. Thank you very much, and God bless you all for your time.
Thank you. John Barton?
What is that? You want to ask a question? It's okay.
I don't know what I talk into.
Talking to the one right on your right.
On your right-hand side.
John, move over to the microphone just a little bit to the right.
Whoop, I'm sorry. I didn't know I was gonna get up here. I wanted to ask Commissioner Fisher, on the apartments that started down on McGuire Road. I didn't know when they got the permission to do that or when they got the, anyhow. Don't you think there's enough apartment buildings going up? I mean, you've got apartment buildings on Old Winter Garden Road that's been new. You've got them off of Colonial on near Good Homes Road. You've got them, and if you look to the left, you see a quasi military installation on the left. If you go a little further, you go to Apopka Island Road, there's a bunch of them there. But, and then, of course, we have the future where they want to put a lot of apartments on Clark Road and White Road on the corner. So my question is, don't you have enough apartments in Ocoee?
I think Craig is gonna address this.
Sir, Craig Shadrick's city manager. Your commission here has decided that enough is enough, and they were insightful enough to direct us to put a moratorium in place on constructing any new apartments, and they authorized us to reconstruct our land development regulations so that we can be more friendly towards the types of development that people, our citizens, want to see. So we'll be bringing back a land development code, a brand-new code, in March, but I don't know if you've seen this commission in action in recent months. They've been very tough on apartments and said, no more apartments, and we put a moratorium in place so we could make our code tough enough so that some of these developers might go find pastures elsewhere in which to build these projects, because we're making it the standard. We're raising the bar high enough to where it's going to be cost prohibitive. And the commission also adopted an amendment to the Florida Building Code that was approved at the state level that required no wood construction on the first floor of any apartment buildings. That little move alone has made it very difficult on an apartment developer because that's going to drive their cost up, and they don't like that. So with regard to the proposed Live Local project over there across from the mall, the commission has been very vocal about supporting staff's positions, and staff turned that project down, and we are in the midst of a long series of events that have yet to be scheduled, including a vested rights determination, which this body will have to sit as a quasi-judicial body, and they can't really talk to anybody about it. And I know it drives the commission crazy because they're going to have to sit and hear evidence on both sides. Staff is adamant that that project, as well as our city attorney, who's done an adequate job, very nice job, in fact, of outlining the state statute. So I hope that helps. There's a big sentiment with this group now. It's not like just let everything come in. That project that you referenced is in our CRA at the corner of McGuire there. That's on a piece of property that's kind of hard to develop, and it was approved a couple years ago. And they are agreeing to extend Old Winter Garden Road. Sometimes we've had to kind of wheel and deal a little bit, and Old Winter Garden Road extension is on our long-range transportation plan, and we want to eventually extend it on the way up, all the way up to 50, which will give us better connectivity and better movement of traffic in the city if we do that. But it's not an all-encompassing apartment project. They're going to have retail as well, some restaurants, some office space there too. And, you know, the commission, you know, agreed that it was appropriate in that spot. But to back up to what I said first, they've kind of drawn the line. Right now, there's a moratorium in effect. Nobody can come in and build an apartment complex here.
I feel a lot better. Thank you. Rosemary, I'm going to get you.
All right, that's all the public for, one for Mr. Up will be later. All right. Consent agenda
I'll make a motion on the consent agenda
with number 3 being
to
pulled.
pull item 3 to continue until the February 18th meeting.
Motion made by Commissioner Kennedy with item number 3 pulled to approve arrest.
Yes, sir.
Second, seconded by Commissioner Wilson. Anybody else comments? Not, let's vote. All righty, first reading of ordinance for the Ocoee Regional Sports Complex rezoning to PUD project, RZ 240907. Zoning manager, you gonna read first reading?
Sure. An ordinance of the City of Ocoee, Florida, changing the zoning classification from City PUD, Plan Unit Development District, City R1AA, Single Family Dwelling District, and County A1 Citrus Rural District to City PUD, Plan Unit Development District on certain real properties containing approximately 150 acres, generally located in the southeast corner of the Fuller's Cross Road and Ocoee-Apopka Road intersection, finding such zoning to be consistent with the Ocoee Comprehensive Plan, providing for and authorizing the revision of the official city zoning map, repealing any inconsistent ordinances. We're going to change that to superseding any inconsistent ordinances and providing for severability and providing for an effective date.
Back on the 18th of February.
February 18th, 2025 will come
Public
back.
comments will be held to February the 18th. We'll be back for the second reading, and then we can do the public comments. Is it okay, Craig? All right. Okay, all right. Thank you. All right, go to let's move over to number 9. Public hearing for 304 Calliope Street. Variance request.
Hey, good evening, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners. I just wanted to really quickly introduce our new Planner One, Bernice Belazar. We grabbed her from Orange County zoning about a year ago now, and she's been a great asset so far to the city. So she's going to be doing the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you for the introduction, Notch. Hello, good evening, everyone. Okay, so tonight I'll be presenting the Renwick variance for their property located at 304 Calliope Street, and their request to increase the maximum allowed impervious surface area. Okay, so for the issue, it is, should the City Commission approve the requested 61.2% variance to Table 5-2 to exceed the maximum allowed ISA by 31% for a total of 81%, for the purpose of the applicant installing pavers in their rear and side yards. Okay, so a little bit of background on the property. It is located north of Calliope Street and approximately 212 feet west of Miravelosa Loop. In total, the lot square footage is 9,380 square feet, and the property is zoned R1AA. Within the zoning district, the maximum allowed ISA is 50%, which is 4,690 square feet. So here we have the aerial of the property. You can see it in yellow, as well as a bit more enlarged in the bottom right-hand corner. This is the surrounding future land use. As you can see, there's quite a bit of low-density residential, as well as recreation and open space and public facilities / institutional future land uses to the north. For the surrounding zoning map, there is a lot of R1AA, as well as a low-density pan unit development to the north. And so per section 4-9A, variances must demonstrate meeting 4 criterias. The first one is that special conditions and circumstances exist which are peculiar to the land, which otherwise are not applicable to other land. The second is that the literal interpretation of the regulations would deprive the applicant of rights commonly enjoyed by others. The third is that these special conditions and circumstances are not the actions of the applicant. And the last is that the granting of the variance would not confer special privileges to the applicant. Okay, so here we have the original property survey. The property was built in 2005. As you can see, there's the residence, the sidewalk, and the driveway. And at this point, the ISA was 43%. And this is the existing 2020 survey of the property. As you can see in red, a bit of pavers were installed on the property without permits. There's pavers in the side yards and the rear yard. And here the ISA is 64%. And for their 2024 permit, this is their proposed survey. The patio in the back has been extended further out, and the ISA is at 81%. Okay. And lastly, we have a photo that was provided by the applicant. In the circle, there is a rat being shown. Part of the reason the applicant did install so much pavers is to help with managing a rodent issue they had been experiencing on the property. Okay, so for staff findings, we found the following based on the 4 criteria. For criteria 1, there are no peculiar conditions to the land, and that is similar to other lots on the subdivision. The lot is rectangular in shape and has the same easements in the front yard and the side yard, so it's pretty similar to other lots in the neighborhood. For criteria 2, the interpretation of these regulations does not deprive the applicant of rights commonly enjoyed by other property owners. When the home was constructed, it had 43% ISA, leaving 7% for future improvements or any other structures they may want to install on the property. This 7% remaining ISA is about 656 square feet, which staff determined was an adequate amount to install with permits, a walkway, and a patio in their backyard. For criteria 3, the actions are of the applicant. The pavers were installed without permits, and the property was cited by code enforcement for these improvements. And then for criteria 4, the variance would confer special privileges to the applicant that otherwise would have been denied to other homeowners. So staff did meet with the applicants late last year, just to clarify that the variance was a different application than the easement vacation, because there are some pavers within some of the easements on the side yards. And so the applicant agreed to reduce the width of their walkways on the side yards to remove the pavers out of the easement. So the width would go from 3 feet to 2.48 feet. This would reduce the ISA by 97.24 square feet, or 1%. And at the January 14th Planning and Zoning Commission meeting, based on the variance criteria, the PZC made a recommendation of denial of the request to the 61.2% variance to Table 5-2 to not allow the property to exceed the maximum allowed 50% ISA. And staff has the same recommendation to the City Commission to deny the request on the variance for the exceeding 50% of the maximum allowed ISA. And noting that without the variance approval, the after-the-fact permit that's currently in would have to be revised to reduce the amount of proposed pavers by at least 1,299.28 square feet. And that concludes my presentation, and the applicants are here as well.
All right, I'm gonna open the public hearing. Anybody in the public have any comments on item 9, 304 Callipy Street? Yeah, if the applicant wants to speak.
Does she bring them?
You have 5 minutes. Put it in.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, Mayor Rusty Johnson and the commissioners. My name is Joanna, and I'm here to present the situation that has affected our life, my family, and the community. Before making improvements to our yard, we face a terrifying problem. There's a severe rat infestation in our home that was taking refuge on my property due to the sewer pump located right behind my yard. That sewer pump was installed by a school and by the city, and is located right behind our yard. It belongs to the Tombrook Elementary School. With the grass in my yard, the rats will dig holes, hide, and thrive, creating constant danger for my family. For me, this was a past problem. It was a direct threat to my mother, who had recently lost an eye due to a medical malpractice, lived with us with a disability, and makes her vulnerable. Despite her limitations, my mother helps me every day taking care of my daughter and cleaning all the rats waste. Imagine her living in fear and walking through a yard that is hidden with rats and unable to detect them in time. This rat is attacking us. It's not only, it was a severe problem, and that's why we took the decision on installing the pavers. We understand that we did not ask for permission at the time, but at the same time, I was very desperate with the situation that this have created. We have talked to nearby neighbors, and we have letters that we have attached to each one of the files and pictures where they were confronting the same issue. Our property, after we installed the problems, we realized a severe transformation. There hasn't been any rats coming to our property. We have also checked with the nearby neighbors to see if the rats were coming to their yard, and they seem to disappear. I ask you to please send anybody, and we as homeowners and citizens of the city of Ocoee were willing to pay an engineer to come and look up our property and see if what we're doing is incorrect. We understand that we have taken the measurements to take this, but this is a family fear that we're confronting right now. In addition to solving the rat problem, I have emphasized that my yard have no draining issues. Our property land has a slope, and we have been to different hurricanes and never had any problems with the water to flow. You can ask our nearby neighbors. They have never had any issues with this, with the pavers being installed. This pavers was not only a solution to our family, but also an improvement to the community, reducing the rat infestation and the health conditions that we're going through. I asked to consider all the points in evaluating our case. This was not a decision that we made for luxury. This is a health issue that we're confronting. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right. I need to open this to the public. Anybody else? All right, close it, bring it up to the dais. All right, commissioners.
I have questions for staff. She said that the pump was installed by the school and the city, but it's probably not accurate. Did we investigate the status of the pump and if it's out of regulation? And what is its proven factual relationship to the rat problem?
So the school behind her is Thornbrook Elementary, and I know in previous meetings you'd spoken to OCPS potentially about the issue. We don't have any concrete evidence that the pavers are helping in mitigating the rats, and we're not certain if the rats are a result of the pump in the rear of her property.
And you answered my second question, which is, you stated that this wasn't a luxury decision where I'm looking at a fire pit. I don't see the utility of the pavers. That's not proven as well?
No.
Okay. Those are my questions.
The concern I have is that a few years ago, if this commission recalls, that we denied someone who had come in and paved their backyard, and we denied that, where they had to come in and take them out. And when I look at item number 4 on the list here, if we can go back to it, it's basically that special privileges. And it's tough when you deny one and you allow another. Those are some of the concerns I have. what has OCPS done to address this issue? That's a I mean, if you're saying they're the issue, and also, have you contacted any, there's twofold here, OCPS and, I don't see any documentation, I see pictures of a rat, but any documentation regarding the health and safety and what, from a company?
We have brought it to their attention and then they have cleaned the back area, but the sewer pump is still there. We have tried to, even ourselves as a homeowner, we have tried to do pesticides. We have tried every way possible to keep them out. We have been to the school numerous times with the first principal. Now there's a second principal that we also brought it to their attention to let them know what the situation. They have cleaned up the trees. They have done some of the cleanups. And like I said, since the pavers has been installed, there hasn't been any rats coming to our property. Before, it was because of the grass that we have on the property. They were digging holes, and they were bringing food. They were hiding in the backyard, but not anymore.
Again, I'm looking at we have denied this a few years ago, and opening the doors is an issue that I have a problem with.
All right, Commissioner First.
I spoke with Mrs. Renwick, and she explained that the problem is pretty intense. It's an infestation of rats there. And I'm sorry that their contact with OCPS didn't bring about the results that should have been brought. An extermination company needs to be contacted, and they need to eradicate this problem. That is my main concern. My main concern is not the pavers, but the issue of health and welfare for Mrs. Renwick and the rest of the community in Windsor Landing there. We can't tolerate that as a city. That's part of our responsibility to find an answer to this problem that they're facing in our city. So I would ask that city staff, whoever the appropriate person would be, is contact Orange County and OCPS and see what we can do, work with them and work toward eradicating the problem. As far as the pavers go, which is the issue here, I did not realize it was to that extent, and Commissioner Wilson is absolutely right. Well, I sympathize with you, and I'm glad that it has helped, but I'm afraid that you need to reduce that number and down to a point where it does fall within the code, 50%. I can't support the variance, I'm sorry. I went crazy there for a minute. I can't support the variance as it is now, but I do recommend that we, the city of Ocoee, take some kind of action to get this situation resolved, because I'm sure you won't consider the loss of those pavers too difficult if the rat problem goes away, and that's what we're looking to accomplish here.
Commissioner Oliver?
About 2 years ago, we had a new subdivision about a quarter mile from my subdivision, and they started taking down the trees and started doing all the scaping to start building. And we had a tremendous rat infestation in my community to the point where we had rats in my attic. And we had to call a professional to come out to try to eradicate them from our house. So it wasn't just my home, it was actually the entire community was infested. But the one thing that I couldn't think of was to put pavers out to try to get rid of the rats. That just never came to mind. My first inclination was I need a professional out here that would help me to get rid of this rat infestation. I would have to agree with the rest of the commissioners when it comes to the pavers. We do have an ordinance, we have a code that we follow, and to go beyond that code opens up the doors for others to say, yeah, well, you did it here, so now we got to do it there. So then it is a slippery slope. So I cannot support going beyond our code. But what I would say this, though, I would say, as it pertains to your rat infestation, that you may want to partner with the school board to hire a professional that would actually come out and to get rid of your rat infestation. I think with the partnership, you may be able to handle it from both sides, as it pertains to where the sewage, I guess that piping that I'm looking at here, and your property. If you guys work together, you may find that they may be willing to partner with you and absorb some of that cost. All I got.
That's it? All right, well, I won't spend a lot of time speaking the same thing they're saying. It is the rules and the ordinances we go by. We've had to turn down other people, so I know that it doesn't sound right, but that's what it has to be, because if we do that, then we're open to them come back and we get into a lawsuit. But I think our staff needs to call the county office, not the principal. The principal's not gonna get through to him anyway, so just please have our.
We'll contact OCPS. We've had a number of issues going
All right.
currently with them.
We'll see if we can help you with that.
Okay.
All righty?
Thank you
Yes,
very
ma'am.
much.
Thank you.
We make a motion? Do we-
I need a motion for this issue 10.
I'll make a motion to deny the variance.
I'll second it.
Motion made by Commissioner Ferstner, seconded by Commissioner Oliver to deny. Anybody else comments? No comments, let's vote. Motion carries unanimously. Okay.
Thank you.
Craig, can you get somebody to give her a number where you can?
Mr. Rimmer?
All right, number 10, public hearing for a Fourth Amendment to the JPA agreement between the city of Ocoee and Orange County. Oh, there's Manager Whitfield.
Thank you. Good evening again, everybody. This is the Fourth Amendment to the City of Ocoee's Joint Planning Area Agreement with Orange County. The agreement's been in place, this current version, since 2019. Since then, there have been 3 prior amendments. The last 2 were in 2021 for Progress Commerce and the retail center at McGuire Road. And then in 2022, we had the 3rd one, which was for the Isaac Mocha property, which is now the Magnolia Reserve Townhome Development. So the properties that are in question for this JPA amendment contain 7 parcels. 5 of them, if you can see my mouse, these 5 are on Ocoee Apopka Road, and these other 2 are on North Lakewood Avenue. They total about 18.7 acres. It is part of the Ocoee Regional Sports Complex, and this JPA amendment would change the future land use map within the JPA amendment, JPA agreement, from low density residential to commercial. The proposed FAR for commercial would be 3.0, but per previous amendments brought to this body, that would be capped at 0.4. So with that, staff is recommending that the commission adopt this 4th Amendment to the City of Ocoee and Orange County JPA to amend those 7 parcels from low density residential to commercial. Thank you, and the applicant team is here.
All right, I open the public hearing. Does the applicant have anything to say? Come on up.
Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, good night. For the record, Marcus Bastian with AECOM, 20 North Orange Avenue, Suite 1100, Orlando, Florida, and we have no comments, so we're here for any questions.
All right.
And we agree with staff's recommendation.
All right, anybody in the commission? Nope. All right, we'll close the public hearing and bring it up to commission for a motion. Need a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the 4th Amendment to the JPA agreement between the City of Ocoee and Orange County.
Motion made by Commissioner Kennedy.
Second?
You
I'll
have a
second.
second? Okay.
Yes.
Seconded by Commissioner Wilson. Any more comments? No more comments, let's vote. Motion carries unanimously. So, okay. All right. Regular agenda, appointment of members to the 2025 Canvassing Board. City Clerk Sibbett.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. The staff report this evening is for the appointment of the canvassing board members. Recently, we did have a charter change to this section. Therefore, the canvassing board will now consist of myself, as well as 2 citizens appointed by the City Commission and 2 alternate members. I did reach out to the mayor and the 2 commissioners following past practice in which the mayor and the 2 commissioners whose district seats are not part of the elections would select the members to the canvassing board. I want to confirm with the mayor, I know you gave me Lincoln Forge's name as your appointee. And for Commissioner Firstner, we have Derek Chacon and Sharon Duffy.
Correct.
And I believe, Commissioner Firstner, you were saying Sharon would be an alternate member.
Correct.
And Commissioner Kennedy has informed me that he would get back with me and provide me a resident name so that I can reach out to them.
She doesn't get to
So-
appoint someone,
No, because she would have been on the ballot.
but you're not on the ballot.
Do you have anybody?
Not yet.
Huh?
Not yet.
We're going to have to vote on them when they get put on there, so
Correct. So we
another
can
put.
vote on the names that we have, or we can bring it back February 18th with all the names. And at that point, you can, make your motion with the 2 members, then the alternate, who would be the alternate member.
No, I want to appoint somebody.
You
I'll
do?
bring you a name on the 18th,
You will, okay.
or prior to
We'll
the,
go ahead and appoint ones tonight, and
You
then
can do that.
bring the name for the other.
sure.
All right? I need a motion.
So we have Lincoln,
Lincoln,
okay.
Yeah. and,
Derek
Jerry,
Chacon?
Who'd you say,
They
Jerry?
need to be in my district.
Who'd you say?
No.
Derek Chacon.
Derek Chacon.
Derek Chacon.
Derek Chacon.
And
And the alternate is the
Sharon Duffy.
Sharon Duffy.
And they're all okay doing this?
And they're all what?
They're all okay doing it?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
All right, that the motion then for
I'll make
that?
that motion to appoint them and waiting for Commissioner
Yeah.
Kennedy
All
to
right.
appoint them.
Your second?
That's fine.
I'll
second.
second.
Seconded by Commissioner Kennedy before you got there. All right, no more talk, let's vote. Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
to us.
Thank you. All right. Item number 12, update and request direction. Kurt Ardeman of the City Attorney's Office, Fishback Dominic, regarding city-owned property located at 10521 Clear Corner, Ocoee Road, Forest Lake Golf Course.
Thank you, Mayor, Commissioners. Kurt Ardeman with the Fishback Dominic Law Firm, City Attorney's Office. Tonight, for this particular agenda item, we're here to provide the commission with an update on the Forest Lake scenario and for direction, asking for direction from the City Commission. For a short summary of where we are tonight and how effectively we've gotten here procedurally, and I'm not going to go through all the history and details because this did come before the commission back on December 3rd with respect to an assignment issue. The first default that the city sent was on September 20th, 2024, where the city issued a notice of default to the lessee. Then, from September to November 2024, the city conducted various inspections at Forest Lake. Then the second default was issued on November the 15th, 2024, to the lessee with detailed inspections and findings and opportunities and suggestions for curing some of those all of those defaults. Then on December 3rd, 2024, that's when you last had this before you all, where the lessee, Forest Lake, had requested that the city approve an assignment to JA Hospitality of the lease. The commission unanimously denied that request. Then during January of this year, the lessee notified the city that any deficiencies had been cured. The city then re-inspected the property and facilities and found over 50 items had not been cured and provided Forest Lake with notice of such
along with a copy of the reinspection report last week, finding 59 continuing defaults. I'm not going to be the person that tells you what those issues are. Robert Utze with ZHA and some of the consultants with which he was the point person will testify before you hear it momentarily or speak to you. But the standard for the commission to consider and the requirement under the lease requires that the entire premises, the golf course, the clubhouse, the snack bar, cart bar, driving range, the parking, and all areas that are to be constructed and maintained as a first class and be a first class condition. So it's not just a piecemeal, you can fix this part and not fix that part. It's an entire first class requirement under the lease. As I mentioned, Robert Utze did spearhead the city's inspections and multiple consultants. He will now present his report to the commission. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. Robert Utze with ZHA. So as we go through this presentation, I want to focus on this language in the lease, which will be a theme throughout our discussion tonight and a reference point. So in the lease, lessee shall use the premises only for the construction and operation of a first-class public golf course facility, including without limitation an 18-hole golf course, clubhouse with snack bar, golf court, cart storage area, driving range, parking areas, maintenance areas, and related facilities. And another section of the lease, the second sentence here is important. As used in this lease, comparable golf courses shall mean first-rate public and semi-private golf courses in Orange and Seminole County, Florida. So in our region, we're just going to highlight three. There's others that would be considered comparable to what's referred to in the lease. One is Orange County National. This is the pro shop. That was the clubhouse. This is Rio Pinar in East Orange County, recently renovated and upgraded. This is Rio Pinar with the driving range and bar area in the pro shop. And then Dub's Dread, which is City of Orlando. As you know, it's been around a long time and gone through numerous upgrades and renovations over the course of its history. Community venue. And so our focus in this analysis was Forest Lake, who has the lease with the city. And, you know, this is just a snapshot of the clubhouse. And, you know, the clubhouse appears to be, you know, in fine condition on the surface, on the outside, but in our studies and inspections, we found that beneath the surface, there's a lot of issues that are of concern to the city. And this is a snapshot of part of the maintenance area that's used to maintain the golf course. This is the bar area and another shot of the clubhouse. So one of the many concerns that we found in the study was in the insurance requirements, the lease requires Forest Lake to name the city of Ocoee and its officers, agents, employees, and commissioners as named insured on insurance policies covering the golf course's operations, its premises, facilities, and improvements. So no proof has ever been provided to us showing compliance with this requirement. Also, additional insurance requirements that are not currently met, the coverage requirement for general liability is $2 million, and the coverage only has $1 million. So as it relates to the risks to the city, because of these deficiencies in the insurance requirements, the city is exposed to attorney's fees and costs associated with litigation, as well as potential exposure to a judgment against the city. So when we embarked on this, study of the ground lease and the wastewater permit, we enlisted a number of consultants to help us, do a deep dive and understand the conditions out there and have a credible way to report back to you. And you saw back in November, this report that was associated with the second notice of default, which includes the building inspection report and all the other inspections that were done at the golf course. And so these are the firms that we used, and we also enlisted the services of Bob Doyle, who is a life member of PGA of America, 42 years, and a lot of his experience is analyzing and evaluating golf courses in his whole career. So you'll hear from him a little bit later. He's joining us by phone. He couldn't be here, but he's got a full report. So you're aware that we did the initial building inspection, and the lessee, did some repairs, did some cures, and notified us. And then we had a re-inspection done by the same firm, and just wanted to highlight some of the things that still exist that are concerns, right? So in the clubhouse, kind of the common theme here is there's still, fungal growth, there's mold growth, and there's other issues that, there's dry wood termite damage that hasn't been repaired. And I want to highlight that termite damaged wood enables termites to establish new colonies. So as long as there's termite damaged wood in existence, there's a risk that new colonies will come back. The cart storage facility has structural corrosion and damage throughout the perimeter and exposed wires. And the maintenance facility, exterior corrosion, roof corrosion, and structural corrosion. This is all in the re-inspection report. And there was a total of 59 items that were highlighted as continued to be deficient. The other issue that is of concern is that in the lease, the lessee is required to biannually conduct a phase 1 environmental report. That's every other year, starting back in the mid-90s. We requested proof of these assessments, and the only one we got was 2017. And then the lessee initiated another one in October of 2024. And so we had the environmental assessment, phase 1, in our plan to have done ourselves, but since they had already started it, we had another environmental consultant review their report, which was done by Ardman and Associates. And there was findings by our consultant relative to inadequately addressed items in the report. And a couple I'm going to highlight. Our consultant said the following conditions in the phase 1 environmental assessment reports were not adequately addressed, including motor and hydraulic spills under some of the vehicles impacting soils at the maintenance area, and oil from old turbine pumps for reclaimed irrigation water leaked into the soils. The other big item that was discovered was in the maintenance area, there's a washdown with pad drain. It drains contaminants into a pond near the maintenance area with a dark green appearance, with likely pesticides, herbicides, and those types of things in that pond. And then at the cart storage area, washdown area, the drains also had contaminants in the nearby pond. In the Ardman report, which was commissioned by the operator, by the lessee, it stated that both ponds had been excavated. So our consultant went and did research to see if there had been the required St. John's Water Management District permit to do those excavations, and there was no record of one being filed, no record of any permit to do any of those excavations. So all of these things raise concerns with the city about the environmental stewardship of the property. So I mentioned Bob Doyle. Again, he's a 42-year PGA of America member. This is something he's done his entire career. He understands the nuances of golf course operations, the health of the golf course, the infrastructure of the golf course, the importance of clubhouse maintenance and having the right maintenance facility for your equipment and the cart barn and everything like that. And Bob did visit Forest Lake 3 times. First time he came out and just did kind of a casual observation. The second time he actually came out and played. He played 9 holes and then rode the other 9 that day when he was out there, and then he came back a third time. So I'm going to introduce Bob, and he's going to go over some other important things related to the infrastructure and the buildings and some of the costs that we kind of put together based on doing a deep dive. The costs you're going to see are updated from our original estimates because we didn't have all the information, right? So let me see if Bob, hey Bob, are you ready to join us?
Yeah, I am on. Can you hear me all right, Robert?
Yes, sir. Let me know when you want to go to the first slide.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks, Robert. I'm sorry I couldn't join. I had another commitment tonight. I actually have another report to give, so I appreciate everybody allowing me to join by phone. I have done a lot of this kind of work in my career. I've worked with municipalities, universities, and also privately owned public facilities as they've evaluated their courses and their operations. I've met with them as they've developed operational standards, and I was also an operator myself at multiple facilities for over 25 years. My assignment on this team was to concentrate on the key elements of the golf course infrastructure at Forest Lake Golf Course. Using the lease as a reference and having been provided reports from the inspectors and the category experts that you've heard about, and gaining a lot of insight about the golf course from a tour that I was provided by the course operator, we developed a list of cost estimates to bring Forest Lake and its infrastructure, the equipment and the buildings, to a standards of operations and service which equal or exceed standards for first-class golf course in the area. Go ahead, Bob. Robert, go to the next slide.
Yeah, it's up there.
Okay. This is an example of what we did when we went through our evaluation and estimates for each element of the infrastructure. Obviously, the irrigation system is a very key element of any golf course. Anybody can imagine how important getting the water on the golf course is. So when we start to evaluate the irrigation system, we investigate the condition of the various parts, the efficiency of the sprinkler head placement as far as water efficiency, and the efficiency of the communication and the reporting system to make sure that the system and all the heads are working properly. So we went ahead and had a local firm do an evaluation of the irrigation system at Forest Lake. And on the top half of this slide, you can see what they reported back. It's a summary, obviously, but they did find that there are some parts of the system that were replaced. The pump station on this 30-year-old system was replaced 21 years ago. They also found that the central controller doesn't have modern communication potential. They also found that only a few of the greens use part circle sprinkler heads, which means that they water more than they have to, which causes a lack of water efficiency. They also found that the power wires are in very poor condition with too many splices in them. The grounding wire is also in poor shape. We went out to a company that works on replacing irrigation systems and got a few recommendations to bring the system up to speed and extend the life of this irrigation system. And they made 3 recommendations to us. The first option they gave us was to replace only the sprinkler heads around the greens and put in part circle heads, replace the poor wire that has too many splices, and install a radio controlled system for better efficiency, and that would cost $500,000. Option 2 is a system that completely eliminates the need for power wire and controllers. This would be a big cost savings over the years. They also recommended in this option replacing all the sprinkler heads on the entire golf course, not just around the greens. This would come with a 5-year warranty on new system parts. This system also would allow for a real-time feedback, which gives reporting back on what's going on with each head, so you know the efficiency of each sprinkler head as the system runs. They also gave a price for an additional $1.9 million to replace the pipe in the ground for the entire system. Of those 3 options, and go ahead, Bob, or Robert, to the next slide, if you would. This is the list of all the infrastructure items that we evaluated on the golf course, and you can see the first line there, the irrigation upgrade, and we put on there, we would recommend the $1 million upgrade, really taking advantage of all the recommendations for the better reporting, replacing all the heads, and like we've tried to do, meet the standards of all the similar golf courses in the area. We also would have liked to evaluate the drainage more thoroughly, but honestly, you can't do that until you're on site and can really dig into things a little more thoroughly. Obviously, through the years with development, there's drainage issues there. Some of the old drains have probably collapsed with storms that have come through, different things that have happened, but it's hard to assign a cost to that, but obviously there would be some cost associated with upgrading the drainage. Doing work on the greens and regrassing the greens needs to be done. Typically every 10 to 15 years, greens are regrassed. And also we found out at Forest Lake that normal aerification practices haven't been going on. The greens there have been getting hydrojetted, not aerified on a normal practice. Hydrojetting is fine as a supplement to aerifying, but should not be the only practice to break up compaction. When you aerify, you get a chance to promote new growth, as well as top dressing the greens, doing some other normal ergonomic practices. That hasn't happened for some time. It sounds like it at the golf course. So this particular line item actually assumes not just regrassing the greens, but going down into the subsoil and going in with some sand and some other subsoil products to make sure the greens are in good shape. The other items here, tees, reshaping and regrassing the greens. The bunkers need some new sand, some new drainage. Cart path, this estimate is for about 25,000 running feet of cart path at 8 to 10 feet wide. along with curbing in some areas, as well as updating the maintenance equipment. I think it's very noteworthy that what we found out about the maintenance equipment there at the golf course is that almost all of it has been depreciated out by the operator. And normally what happens at a golf course is that it's on a replacement schedule. I'm sure there at the city, each department has a schedule that they replace the trucks, the tractors, all the equipment on a regular basis so you can budget. Things are replaced on a 5, 7, 8-year plan, depending on what kind of equipment it is. A lot of the equipment here hasn't been replaced for years. Some of it actually goes back before the year 2000. And our estimate here is to update the equipment and certainly be appropriate with the other golf courses in the area that are operating at a first class or first rate basis. The final note on this slide is golf course grass health. It costs money to operate a golf course and use the practices to be a nice course and have a course that people want to play. What that will cost, and certainly for the first couple of years to really have the golf course be in first rate shape, we're not sure exactly what that'll be, but to do things like Airify that I mentioned when we talked about the greens a few minutes ago, there's a cost related to that. What that will be when we look at the big picture, we're not sure what that'll be, but there will be some additional cost in the maintenance budget to make sure that the grass is in good shape and healthy. Robert, go ahead to the next slide.
Okay. You're there.
Okay, so in addition to the total for the infrastructure items, we did look at the buildings. Robert ran through what was found at the cart storage building, the maintenance building. You saw the picture. It's a standard to store your equipment, particularly your most valuable equipment, indoors. To store your equipment outside really is not the standard. And the budgets you see here for cart storage building and a maintenance building are low estimates to have the kind of buildings that can replace the structures that are there that are having structural problems, and to get your maintenance equipment indoors and meet the typical standard. Also here, when you see clubhouse renovation, there is a budget at, again, the low end at $225 a square foot to do a clubhouse renovation and put up a clubhouse that is structurally sound. And you've heard a lot about the issues at the clubhouse. So there is a budget for that. So you can see from this list that there is an investment that needs to be made to bring the infrastructure items, the equipment, and the buildings up to the least required standard. And in conclusion, I'd say that the golf course infrastructure items, the maintenance cart and clubhouse buildings do not meet the first rate standard called for in the lease.
Great, thank you, Bob. And I would point out that the numbers here are pretty aggressive, and that's why we added a contingency, and it still may be aggressive even after that. So, but we tried to be, prudent and thoughtful in how we laid this out. So, does anybody have any questions for Bob? Yes, ma'am.
I'm just gonna ask a question. We're looking at 6 to 7 million to bring up to the first class.
Well, we're saying, closer to 7.5 is probably the appropriate budget number to use. That may still be a little aggressive, but once you get to a point where you Yeah, when I say aggressive, I mean low, on the low end.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. So 7.5 is kind of on the low end of what we think. Yes, ma'am. Any other questions before I give it back to Mr. Arterman? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Robert, and Bob, appreciate that. You're presented at this point, I think, with some questions, commissioners and mayor. And so we've listed 3 potential items for direction by you for consideration. One would be, and we believe there's a basis for immediate termination of the lease, an authorization to file suit for eviction, ejectment, other causes of action, and damages against Forest Lake Golf Club. That's one. We also think a second alternative would be mediation, pending a potential termination if a settlement agreement or the mediation was not successful. And the idea of a mediation would be you go through the process, and we've been asked. Forest Lake has asked for mediation, so that's encouraging for that particular item number 2, where we would sit down probably with the city manager, city attorneys, the principals of Forest Lake and their council, and try to come up with some resolution to this dispute that would avoid potentially a termination, and then bring that back to the commission for consideration. And the last item would be allow additional time for Forest Lake to cure the continuing defaults and breaches. Those are the three options that we've discussed with the city manager and believe warrant consideration by the commission. We think the first and second items are probably more appropriate than the third item. So we're happy to answer any questions and available here for your questioning.
I'm going to bring up the applicant,
Sure.
then we can get the questions.
Yeah, I don't think they're an applicant. This is not a,
I mean, not applicants, but
yeah, this is not a hearing.
Opsal,
Yeah, this is a meeting, but certainly they are entitled to speak.
Mr. Opsal. 5 minutes.
Mr. Mayor, I request additional time. We're not going to fill up the same time they did, but I just want to make sure I'm adequately addressing, probably get it done in under 10. Thank you. For the record, Logan Opsal, 215 North Eola Drive. Nice to be with the commission. The timeline, I'll start there, just will kind of follow the course of what you heard. We don't need to go back through all the way to the 34 years we've been a tenant. But I do want to note in those times, some important periods, we have met with your staff to discuss some of these issues. Also, as referenced, the potential sale of an as-is contract for the leasehold tenancy. And we had some productive conversations. There were things identified. In fact, I believe it was November or December. I'll get you the exact date on when we met, probably November. And we had first rolled out some of these dollars and cents you had heard. We were informed of those things. We've taken action. In fact, following that meeting, your city attorney, Kurt Arterman, informed us that a second letter would be coming that provided more detail of what the alleged defaults were. Because the first one did not have any reports with it. It didn't have much specificity. So we knew that was coming, and we reviewed that, and we engaged our own contractors and experts to address some of them. One quick correction, too, from the timeline you saw. In our response, there was a number of things that were easily fixed that are part of our ongoing maintenance program. We just call up, and we've done those things. There are, as you can see, relatively large items that we disagree with. And keep in mind, we are being alleged default for the first time in 34 years. And this is not an item of, it'd be really good if we renovated the entire golf course up to top notch. But we are a first-class golf course. We've been a first-class golf course. We were 34 years ago. We are today. We were a year ago, notwithstanding a contrast from high-definition Google images to an iPhone camera of our mowers. the facts are the facts. And we will work out some of these issues we have already. In fact, in recent weeks and months, we've worked with your city attorneys. When we received an additional letter that was a follow-up, it was really just an annotated comment to detailed responses I gave, page by page of the documents that we received. And in that effort, I've been emailing and communicating with your city attorney to provide, at their request, invoices and additional documents. And so we got this third letter, if you will, on Friday. We received a re-inspection report, which, again, looked at some of the ongoing cures that we have diligently pursued on Saturday. And so, although we might not have sufficient time to roll in all our experts and provide an in-depth analysis, 3 days later, like you just saw, and you heard some scary stuff, but we're covering a lot of those items, and we are confident and we feel good about being able to reach a resolution. I've discussed with City Attorney Connor on Friday afternoon, as soon as I received the letter, the viability of sitting down for a pre-suit mediation, because that's where, in a default posture, it is pre-litigation mediation. And given the recent history of the way that our discussions have been ongoing with your city staff, again, we feel confident we can come to an agreement on how to address these items. So we had kind of gone through today and yesterday, in the little time we had to look at what's been re-inspected and how that's been presented. I will note that in my previous correspondence and in very recent correspondence, we continue to engage contractors. It's ongoing. For example, it's very easy to address items like fixing the roof and the cart barn. That's been done. Certain cracks, rust spots, reestablishing mulch. You can see from the inspection reports we've engaged in renovating the parking lot, cracks in sidewalks. Those items have been addressed diligently. They're ongoing, and some of them take a little bit more time. I know your city attorney noted it takes some weeks and months to get some specifics, which is what the lease requires, some specifics on what's an alleged default. And it also takes a little time to, when you've seen the list of stuff, to pursue them. And so you've seen pictures of those in action. So really, of what's been listed, and it's about 100 maybe, everything from you need AC straps on the, hurricane straps on the AC unit, which isn't code anymore, but we can buy straps, to some of the bigger stuff you saw, like replace your irrigation system. Well, again, that's not a default. Our irrigation system works well. The course looks great. This is some of the best years we've had. It's busy. We're profitable. I know members of this body come and patron it often. The course is doing exceptionally well, running as a first-class operation. And so as a tenant, I represent the tenant. As a tenant, when we see things like you need to spend $2 million on replacing a perfectly good irrigation system, well, we take we take exception to that. And we say, certainly we are happy to address some of these things that you identify, but spending millions of dollars replacing things that don't need replaced is not a default. And that's why we think it's appropriate to sit down and continue to work with staff on those items. And again, the very last thing we saw from an expert, we clearly have experts of our own and contractors, and they're seeing the same information, they're disagreeing over it. That's ripe for sitting down all together and coming to a consensus. But I'll tell you, and it was interesting to see it, because at $7.4 million, that's what we had a contract for months ago. So it's just kind of odd, again, that we're seeing this when we've never had an issue with the city for those 3+ decades. Notwithstanding, we come here and continue to work with the city and your city attorneys and your city staff in good faith, because we love this golf course and we love the city, and there are items we can address, and there's items that are inappropriate in terms of a default allegation. And we are confident we can get through those. Mr. Mayor, Ken is here, and he's got just a couple minutes and some things he wants to share with the commission. So I will yield the rest of my time unless you have specific questions for me.
You're over your time already, but I'm gonna let you have a little more, so how much time am I supposed to give him?
How about 5 minutes?
I'll give him 5 minutes. He's gotta fill the paper out. You have to fill the paper out.
Sure, we can fill a paper out.
Only one I got is yours.
Mr. Mayor, he'll fill a paper out. Does the commission have any specific questions for me?
We will.
Okay. Well, I'll stand by. I just want to note, too, of the several documents that are claimed to have not been sent, I think that's probably an internal communication issue. You have those documents. We'll continue to work with them on any additional, but I'm happy to answer specifics.
I have a procedural question that I want to get answered before Kenny speaks.
Okay.
Are we dealing with you as the principal tonight, or are we dealing with your attorney? I'm personally not gonna ask questions of each of you. So tell me who I'm dealing with. Are we dealing with you, or are we dealing with him as the principal?
So, Commissioner, this is a long-term tenant of the city, and your day in, day out operator is here to answer questions.
Yeah.
And I am also here to answer questions.
Okay.
So
Have
it's
you
at,
been here 33 years?
no, sir, I have not.
Do you have, what we heard at the ZHA was they had I think you said you had 90 years of combined golf course experience. Do you have 90 years of golf course experience?
Commissioner, I'm an attorney.
Okay, so I'm not an attorney, and with respect, rather than argue with you, I'd rather deal with the principal and the tenant.
Well, I hope we're not arguing, and I'm not here
Well,
to.
I take issue with about 90% of what you said, so I don't want to get into that. I want to hear from the man who runs the operation, who has the golf course experience. I want to hear his rebuttal and his reply to the experts. He's an expert. They're experts. Let's hear it.
Commissioner, your experts are commenting on a lease and they're not attorneys, so I think we have a well-rounded conversation, and that's why I'm here to assist. And I will happily step aside so you can discuss with.
Perfect. Thank you.
I've got a couple comments I wanna make, but I'll make it when you get through. A couple about
Kenny?
things. So, 5 minutes.
Well, I didn't anticipate this.
Perfect. Thank you, Ken.
My name's Kenny Ezel. I'm one of the principal owners of Forest Lake Golf Club. With my partner, George Clifton, we own a little bit over 51% of the limited partnership that we've been negotiated back in 1991. We started the golf course in 1993. We opened it in 1994. We've survived and done, I think, an admirable job for the city of Ocoee all these years. Where others have failed, we have not. I think that I'm in the golf course design business since 1987. We've done the equivalent of 80 or 70 full 18-hole golf courses over the course of the years. So to say that we're not experts and we don't know what we're going to do, I meant you have to remember that the city of Ocoee had this property. It's an effluent disposal site. We were given the task of getting rid of 1.2 million gallons of water a day. And we get no water from the city of Ocoee now. So the fact that we could be said that we're an inefficient user of water today, we've replaced all the irrigation system. We drain perfectly well. That's the reason y'all bought the property. We have one area in particular that's had a little bit of problem from the rib sites. We've had another little problem since the development has happened next door from Forest Lake Estates. The city of Winter Garden is putting out a lot more water on their place. That's where we get most of our water. And we had 2 hurricanes that have been back to back. And we've just gone around without even asking the city for any consideration or any help. We've spent about $250,000 building a whole new golf hole. I don't know if you've had a chance to get out and see it, either one of y'all playing golf, but it's ready to go. And we did that right after the hurricane. So just a quick construction to get something back going so we don't have a 17-hole golf course. And that's the 3rd time that green's been built. So we approved some of the engineering and the soils and everything that y'all provide us, and it was inaccurate. And we've had that water going up quite a considerable amount. I gave a little bit about what we've done to try to cure that. Relative to the irrigation, I can only tell you that the main lines are good. We have replaced plenty of the wiring. We've replaced all of the heads. Bob Doyle's first estimate was that we have 1,500 heads that were out there on the golf course. We have 657. We have a Rainbird Nimbus system. It's a computerized control system. Controls every head on the golf course. It comes back and sends us signals. We are efficient user of water as much as I know that we can be. And we have ongoing Rainbird guidance and controls there. So, and we've experienced, many repairs, irrigation pump station. Yes, it's a little bit old, but we've replaced all the motors, we've replaced all the pumps, the intake structure, and it's running at its capacity right now. And we still, worked with the city to get rid of their water and Winter Garden's water. But we did take at hole number 16 with the floods, roughly about 50 million gallons of water. So that pond rose over 10 feet, started off at 8 and kept going because of the groundwater. Forest Lake is a very successful golf course. It's very playable. We have one of the most experienced golf course superintendents. We've been in the superintendent business. One time, George and I maintained 108 holes of golf at the Villages and the polo fields. So we do know a little bit about that. The fact that it keeps being brought up about aerification, we do a little bit something different. We don't, as Bob said, water inject, we air inject. We do have an aerifier that we use. So that is an inaccurate statement that we're not doing that. We're proactive relative to the way that we do things there. We do overseed our golf course. Gives us opportunity to take over the winter months. For 7 months, we have a different grass on the greens. And during the summertime, we manage those greens to the best of our ability, and we've been playing 5,000 rounds a month during the summertime, which is pretty much unheard of. So when you take that, now we go back to the clubhouse and we go to our cart storage area and we go to our maintenance facility. We are completely taking care of the cart storage building right now. If you go out tomorrow, you'll see that it's got a whole new facade. It's got all new infrastructure in the front and in the side. It's got a new roof. They're going over to the maintenance. We've gone through the clubhouse. We've tried to address every issue that's on there. We mentioned that we had all these that we had not taken and cured or whatever. Well, curing takes a little bit of time. You just can't go out. You have to find the right people, and we've been doing that. The weather has not helped us. The cold weather, you can't take and seal coat your parking lot. You have to wait till the temperatures get over above an average temperature of 70, so we've had to hold that up with all the restriping and that type of thing. We have great staff. We operate a very simple, it's a little bit more than a snack bar. The Rusty Niblick Bar and Grill serves customers very well. And our pro shop's well stocked. We have, and I will say that this stuff about the turf equipment, we're pretty savvy in what we have there. We have more equipment than we ever really would need. Most people would have 3 or 4 greens mowers. We have 5. Many places would have 2 or 3 fairway mowers. We have 6. So we have backup to the backup, which we can take and use parts. If everybody doesn't know, there was a supply crisis. So anyway, I know I'm well over my time. I appreciate it. I'm devastated the fact that even I'm looking at number 1 after what we've done. We feel like this has been our soul to do what we've done at the city of Ocoee. We've not had one complaint, written complaint from the city in 31 years. Now,
All right, time's up.
okay,
Time's up.
go ahead.
Thank you for your response. I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
Oh, yeah.
I wanted to hear where you were, and I appreciate that very much.
We've taken this very seriously.
I know, but the serious part came when you came with an applicant to give us, you wasn't gonna sell it. So you really love it so much, you were selling it. Let me finish. You were gonna sell it. So the first thing we do, we go through these people, they've never even been qualified. First thing, we couldn't get the finances. They never showed us finances to show us that they could be. And when we sit down with them and talk with those guys that you brought, that wanted to pay you $7 million, they weren't planning on putting $7 million into the golf course. They were planning on changing the hitting range around, changing some of it for par 3 work, and a few other things. But and I'll talk to you. I've been around this golf course. I did one of the shovelfuls when we started.
Yeah,
It
you
is
sure
not
were.
First class all the way.
What's that?
It is not first class. Never has been in years. Nothing. The first class part of that golf course is the design. That's the first class.
Okay.
If I'm not mistaken, his father, was your father not the one that designed it?
We all did.
Yeah, well, Mr. Clifton.
Mr. Clifton was golf course superintendent before he was a golf course architect.
Let me talk.
Okay.
You know, I love that place. I love but we're never going to, everybody keeps saying you sell it. We're not selling it. We're not selling the land. The land is ours. It's going to stay the citizens of this town. That golf, you close early in the afternoon on Saturdays or Fridays. Now I heard you closing the bar at 4:30. Well, that's what everybody's saying. I don't know. I had to go up there and see. I was sitting there one day a couple weeks ago, and the first thing they said was the bar was closing at 4:30. Now that's a fact. I played golf with guys on a Saturday that call up there at 3 o'clock on a Saturday. You can't get a hot dog inside. It's over. But that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. First class, no. You want to go to a first class golf course, go to Dub Strip.
Okay.
And now I'm gonna let you sit down and we're gonna let all of them get into the talking here. I'm gonna bring back up, Kurt and we're gonna have the commissioners ask questions. Is that all right, Kurt?
Yes, sir.
All right, and then we can ask them. You can stay up there with them.
Yeah.
All right, commissioners. And the other thing is, there was something else I wanted to say too. The layout, anybody I talk to, anybody I ever see, I tell you couldn't beat it for the layout. The layout's one of the better ones you'll ever see. I think he did a great job of that over the years, but it's not a first class. It's supposed to be his first class. The money, you made the money, and I don't want to hear about working 34 years for it, but you made the money off of it 34 years. You had a great lease through us, and y'all made the money off of it. You made the money. But that's what has to be fixed. It can't be fixed. And when they first came here and told us it was $9 million and something dollars. It was bad stuff. Now they've got it down, they went back and looked at it again, it's down to $7 million and something. So, all right, commissioners, you want to start, Scott, or you want me to start down here? I'll start with you, Commissioner Oliver. Commissioner Oliver. Ask questions.
Well, I do have some questions, but I do have some comments as well. I'm just trying to, let me look at this from a practical standpoint and see if my logic is off base or it may be correct. I don't know. But, okay, so we have a golf course where the city owns the land, and you lease the land out to manage a golf course, right? For 30-something years.
We put all the assets into the ground to build the golf course.
Okay, so you're the management company.
We borrowed the money, we got investors, and we built the golf course with that money.
Okay. And you operated a golf course for over 30 years here in the city. And at some point, you wanted to sell your interest, or you wanted to sell the management company or assign it to another company. And that company made you an offer, right? That's correct. I'm not worried about the numbers, but they made you an offer. Is that correct?
They would assume our lease, which is for the 229 acres that we currently have under lease.
At some point, you guys came up with some type of valuation as to what you think the golf course, or what you think that your company is worth for this other company to come in and to take over your lease.
Clearly, there is some appraisal companies that specialize in golf. They produce every 2 years a analysis of what the net operating multiplier would be, or what the capital rate purchases will be, and they do it for all the golf courses that are bought and sold. So, yes, and that's how we calculated what we thought was.
So the answer to my question is basically yes.
Huh?
The answer to my question is basically yes.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. All right, so then that was brought for the commission because we have first right of refusal before you do anything as far as assigning your lease and
That's right.
accepting
There's no
any
question.
offer, right?
Right.
That brings us into the picture, right? So now we're here where we are now, based on you considering assigning your lease. And then after that, there's all these, I don't know what to say, default, or I don't know what to say, compliance, because the last meeting, I mentioned the word default, and I was told, nope, there's no default. It's out of compliance. Now I'm hearing the word default. So I'm a little confused. Are we defaulting, or are we out of?
Yeah, Commissioner, let me, let me address that. So when the commission heard this before, the only request before the commission was whether to approve the assignee, JA Hospitality. That's where Forest Lake, the entity, would assign its lease interest to JA Hospitality. The commission said no to the assignment. The issue there, I think the reason you're thinking, oh, default was not appropriate, that was not before the commission at that time. Now it is.
Okay. And the default is based on the post-inspection report.
Yes, from all your expert work and the summaries from what you've seen, that is the basis for the default. What you've heard tonight and what the reports you've received is a determination the commission can say, yes, we think it's a default.
So prior to getting here, how often have we inspected the actual golf course to determine were they either defaulted or were they in compliance of the lease prior to getting here?
Yeah, I believe.
In 30 years.
Sure. So before December of 2023, I don't know, but the commission, I believe in November or December of 2023, commissioned ZHA to begin an assessment and evaluation. And they ran into some problems with Forest Lake in obtaining documents and information. So it took a long time for the city's experts to get any information. There was a dispute between ZHA and Forest Lake about what documents were going to be produced. So only, and I don't know exactly what it is, Robert Utsi can speak to that if you'd like to get an answer on those timelines. Robert, would you come up and address that?
So the question is, has there been, well, I'm just asking basically yes and no questions.
Sure.
Before we get into any deep dives, I just want to know, had there been any inspections by the city prior to 30 years to identify any defaults or out of compliance of a lease?
Yeah, I do not know the answer to that, Commissioner.
That is no.
Okay.
So maybe there was, maybe there wasn't.
Yeah,
I don't know.
there's none.
Okay.
Okay, well, we're not going to. That's all right. So I really want, what I'm trying to get here to me is to get to, I want to get to the bottom line here. I want to ask this question. Looking at these three recommendations.
Alternatives.
Alternatives, recommendations.
Yes, sir.
Actions. Looking at these actions here, if we were to evict this tenant from the golf course, what happens at that point?
So that would be number one. If the commission were to say the lease is terminated and send that notice of termination of the lease to the tenant, if the tenant were to vacate immediately, there would be no need for any lawsuit. I suspect that Forest Lake would stay in possession, and the city would have to file a lawsuit in order to be able to remove the tenant from the property. And along with that, we would suggest, if you're going to file the lawsuit, to pursue damages against Forest Lake for the defects and the problems that have not, the course has not been kept in a first-class or first-rate condition. And those deficiencies, those are a problem for which we believe that Forest Lake is responsible to the city for.
So if they were to walk away and let's say eviction, they just walk away, whatever the case may be, the city is not obligated to pay them anything.
Correct.
Nothing. So they went from a $7 million offer to nothing. Okay. Right? Okay. Over 34 years. And I understand they've made money. I get that. But in most businesses, when you operate a business, you make money, you boost your business up, you actually turn it into something that you can pass on or sell to someone else.
Hallelujah.
That's neither here nor there. Bottom line is, I just don't see, I see that there is plausible information that you've given us that needs to be addressed. But if they walk away and we took over this golf course, you just identified $7.5 million worth of compliance issues or default issues that has to be addressed.
As a minimum.
Who would be on the hook for that?
I'm sorry?
Who would be on the hook for that? Let's say
It's Forest Lake. They have the obligation under the lease to make and keep it as a first-class, first-rate golf course.
If they walk away and they were evicted and walk
Then the city would have a right to pursue that.
we'll have the right to pursue that. But,
Yes, sir.
But will we be on the hook for $7.5 million worth of compliance issues that's been identified?
So it's city property. If there is a vacation of the property by Forest Lake, that does not relieve Forest Lake of their obligations to the city. There's a contractual obligation by Forest Lake to maintain that golf course and the facilities as a first-rate, first-class golf course. So because of that, because the course is not, and the property is not a first-class, first-rate facility, that defect, that deficiency, and we're giving them a chance to cure that, has not been made up. So Forest Lake would be responsible to the city legally for that deficit.
Okay.
So I go from having an offer from what we considered, I didn't know all the stuff he wanted to do, but he came to us unsolicited, okay? We've had other people interested than we've talked to. One was mentioned up on the board. I will mention too that this comparable golf course that is up there, it was supposed to be 5 to 6 golf courses, comparable golf courses in the lease. We had Ella Shapiro one time ask us for comparable golf courses as far as the pricing and that type of thing. Rob Frank asked us one time. And then so in 31 years, we've only been asked to compare our golf course to comparable golf courses twice.
Well, I just have one last comment.
You mentioned the same stuff.
I just got one last comment.
Well, you're mentioning the same stuff that you're going to take our investment away.
You brought up about the money. Again, I'll tell you, Twin Rivers in Oviedo sold 2 years ago, 3 years ago for 300 acres of land and the golf course for $4.5 million.
$5 million, 5.45.
Nobody's going to pay $7 million for that golf course. Nobody. So I'll get back off that. You said it. But go ahead. How about we got to get through all commissions.
Yeah, I just got one last comment.
All right.
That's all. No questions, just a comment here. Just based on what I've heard and the information that I received on this here, it seems that there are some discrepancies on both sides of this. There are discrepancies here. Discrepancies that I can't answer. I'm not an attorney. I'm not a judge. But I can understand that there is two sides of this coin here. And it seems to me that mediation seems to be the only way to really try to get to the bottom of where we're trying to get here with this golf course. That's all the comments I have.
There's something else too. All right.
Quick question. We heard Mr. Utzi's report on the deficiencies and the cures and no cures. We also heard the PGA expert on his estimation of what needed to be fixed. Now, we heard your comments and we have your information here and everything, and it seems that you definitely disagree with a number of those things, whether they should be cured or not. Does that mean you have no intentions of even addressing those?
I'm addressing them right now.
For instance, you disagree with the irrigation
Correct.
comments, and there were a number of them, you know, for the sprinklers for the greens and the overall situation. Do you plan on addressing any of that, none of that, or all of that?
Yes, we have been addressing. I would just say that we have a Rainbird system. It's a wired system. We design golf courses for a living, okay? I'm a PGA professional I've been a PGA member since 1981. I've been a golf course member of the American Society of Golf Course Architects.
I understand. You know what you're doing.
I do know what I'm doing, and I take exception with Bob Dole's explanations. He is from Colorado, and I'm just going to say I take exception with him. That doesn't mean that he doesn't have some idea, but I think he's gone to the extreme. And our cart storage facility has housed 80 golf carts very, very well. It has some structural stuff from where we neglected maybe, and we're taking care of that right now. You can go out tomorrow and see what we've done. So we just spent $250,000 on building a whole new golf hole. We didn't come back and ask the city, since it's your land, whether y'all wanted to help us out in any way, shape, or form.
Okay, thank you.
Just real quick, before you start comment on, I have to wait till the end anyway, but I just gotta ask questions sometimes too. To me, I have asked Rob Frank about things on the golf course, whether or not he pursued it is another story. But how many times do we have to check on the lease? You were asking that question. If you've got that, you're making a profit, you're running a place, and you want it to be a first-class operation, why would you not keep it up? Why would you not take some of that, devote that money to that first-class operation? It's not a first-class operation with some of the things there. I mean, like I said,
Commissioner.
It is not. And the other one is,
Mayor.
It's not my I rent a house out to people. I expect them to keep it maintained the way it's supposed to be. Matter of fact, if I go there and it's not, then they're gonna fix it. If it was signed the way it was, and if you got that golf course and you want it to be a first-class golf course, which is the layout is, then why would you not take and fix that stuff? So let's go ahead and answer who you were gonna answer. I'll talk about that.
Well, we've been through this lease quite a few times.
And I don't, you get my age, you forget some things. Real quick, the other thing is, you wanted to sell it. You don't want it. Are you still in the mood of getting rid of it?
No, I don't have to.
Oh, now
No.
you don't want to get rid of it?
Well, no, I would love to have somebody
Okay,
come
it
back.
won't be
You
said.
build something.
Huh?
The reason we have it in the lease, I believe, Mayor, is that we have the ability to assign the lease.
No, it says first right of refusal. But
No, we
here's
have
the
the
thing,
right
I'm not
to-
going to argue with you.
we have the right
Ken,
to assign it, and
if
you have the
still-
right
Just
to-
answer my question.
Is that correct?
Just answer my question.
Yes.
Do you not still want to get rid of it? Hey, so.
We do not have to get rid of
No,
it.
I didn't say you had to.
No, we had an unsolicited person
Yeah,
come
but
in.
money-
Why would I not
They
want to
didn't
keep?
have the funds.
How do you know?
'Cause we sent out and talked to them. That's how I
Okay.
knew.
All right.
Okay, all right, Rosemary.
Yeah, I'm not the golfer, and I preface my questions with that. One thing that was mentioned earlier was the insurance. 1 million insurance when we've asked for 2 million and.
I would have to ask my wife who runs the books. I feel like we have answered that question in its entirety. We just renewed our insurance. We have everybody listed just the way it says in the lease. We did not have a couple of those in there when this thing first started. It was oversight on our part. So, I mean, we have the insurance that's appropriate per the lease. We had it last year, we have it this year.
Because I'm hearing differently. That's the.
I don't know
concern
where
I
that
have.
information came from.
That's, again, we only can respond to what information that's given to us. And that's a concern to me, sitting up here.
Sure.
That we would be liable.
No,
That
but
would be a
we
concern,
have
and
you,
I'm-
we have you covered.
We've just not seen it. It's not been provided. If it exists,
My
we
wife
don't,
has
we don't
Well,
have it.
that's something I would like to see personally.
Why does it need to go to an attorney to see?
Excuse me? Okay, I'm asking a question. Could you repeat that? I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
I'm just asking, we send it to the city, why does it need to go to your attorney? That doesn't make any sense.
Well, our attorney
to me.
represents us and also I believe our attorney is there to make sure that we are
Right.
adequately covered on our end. And that's important to me as a
You
commissioner.
haven't been able to find it in your files,
Oh.
is what we're saying.
I personally, that's something that's very important to me, okay? There's concerns as I'm reading some of this material that my concern is health and safety.
Right.
Folks who enter your building, when there's alleged issues that are in this, and I mean, I can only say alleged because I don't know them, okay?
And I appreciate you saying alleged, because we have gone through, we've had, and Mr. Utze had 3 different mold people come out. He's had 3 different people come out for the roof. I mean, we've had termite people come out. We've addressed each one of those to the best of our ability. They're still going on. There was one mention of some termites. We're getting that taken care of. We've gone through the whole HVAC system as far as all that cleaning, and the attorneys have that information, I do believe. We have tried very hard to do everything in a very expedient way to make sure that we've cured almost all of these. I went through all of the items that we just went through. Many of these are minor mentioned. There's minor or common denominators within the stuff. We came back and our number is 70, and then there's like 20, I think 23 or something like that are uncured that we're working on. So we're curing as many of these deficiencies as we possibly can as we go through.
Well, as I say, alleged, I'm not an expert.
Right.
But I am concerned regarding when we see things that are of concern to the residents that walk in. There's just the insurance is important to me. The folks who walk into that facility. That's very important to me because they're spending time there. I'm not a golfer, so I'm looking at the building issues that are there.
Well, we're living there, I meant, as far as we're there on a regular daily basis, so we should be concerned also,
Well,
Rosemary.
You should be.
Right.
You should be. I would be concerned myself.
Right.
I'm tending to look towards the mediation. The second item, I mean, that's something that I would be looking at because I think reaching halfway, looking to see what we can do in mediation, I think that's a fair instance. But again, some of these issues are concerning to me that have been brought before us.
And I want to calm your concern by telling you that we're doing everything in our power to take and cure anything that has relationships to the clubhouse and the safety and welfare of the citizens of Ocoee and our guests that come and participate.
Anyone that enters that building, not just a citizen.
That's right.
Because
That's right.
the property is owned by the residents, in my opinion.
And I'm sorry that the definition of first-class golf course has taken on this, if we weren't a first-class golf course, we wouldn't have 60,000 people coming to play and participate. What is curious to me is Bob Doyle goes, well, the only reason you're getting 60,000 rounds of golf to come to your facility is because your rates are cheap. We're in a affordable golf course. Can you imagine if we started raising our rates up by $20 or $30 a round?
I've begged you to.
Okay, well,
I begged him
Thank
to.
you, I'm
Don't go
I'm
there.
finished, thank you.
We got provisions in the lease that talk to that.
right.
City attorney.
Bad turn. Are you done?
I'm done, thank you.
Thank you. I think people know my background and know I want to talk to the principal, and so I appreciate you doing that and standing here and answering questions.
Well, I mean, you're talking our life.
Understood.
You've got it in your hands the way that,
I don't think anybody at this point wants to go nuclear option one. But I have a concern that could force me there, frankly.
Okay.
And it comes down to candor. You don't have, and I'm sorry, I don't mean to be rude or critical to you personally or to your life's work. I love that golf course, used to love that golf course as much as any person alive. That was my golfing home, and as you know, I'm an avid golfer. And I loved that place. And I'm as frustrated as a customer and angry at its condition as anyone. I had to stop eating in your restaurant. Okay? So I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but we need to have some honesty amongst us, some candor. In no way, under any consideration, is any part of that operation, the course, the clubhouse, the restaurant, the food, the cart barn, the carts, the service, third class, second class. It's not. It's terrible. The service is awful. People sit in your restaurant or in your bar waiting for service. It's understaffed. It's drastically understaffed. And it's an economic issue. The restaurant, I go there, we play at 10 o'clock, 10:30, used to. You can't get around your golf course in 4.5 hours and get into the restaurant and get food before the restaurant closes. Okay? Now we could debate granularly where it is, and I'm interested in that a little bit. I think you made a good point about, well, they've got 3 comps and you would like to see 5 comps. I'd love to hear what you think are 5 comparable public semi-private golf courses in Central Florida, frankly.
there are very few anymore.
There are very few, I agree. But in my opinion, and it's just my opinion, what you said, Mr. Doyle said, is absolutely true. I've sat there and had my your man's right there, John, great man. I've had my standing tee time bumped many times because you're bringing in a group of people from somewhere to play golf for $40. Yeah, happens all the time. The course is not enjoyable anymore. The condition is so poor. The greens, the tee boxes aren't maintained. They're nothing but weeds. They're not level. You're not rebuilding them. There's no grass in the fairway. There's no rough. The greens are infected with that. We call it Velcro. You know what I'm talking about. You should know. And I think you all don't play the golf course, I think is part of the problem.
I played the golf course, yes.
Recently?
Yes.
Okay. And, you got Velcro infested in the greens. All the players, all the regulars, all the members complain about it. I've been in the cart barn in a rainstorm, scared I was going to get electrocuted from the wires hanging down. I'm glad to hear you say you fixed that. Do the chargers work?
Yes.
Okay, good. And I think, being honest, and I'm trying to be fair and honest with you, Maybe one of the reasons some of the estimates came down from 9 to 11 million to 7 million is
It
because
was
you
14 at one time.
you have responded to the defects list. And I respect that, thank you. And I think there's room to say, maybe they said this has to be completely rebuilt and you've repaired it or you've shoestringed it to keep it going. I think that's all fair and negotiable.
I don't
But
think
for-
we're shoestringing anything,
Okay,
Commissioner.
my word.
Okay.
Cash flow, we'll say. My problem is the total, what I feel is a total lack of admission that this is completely unacceptable. And again, my words, for a variety of reasons, blame the city manager, blame previous commissioners, blame anybody you want to blame, you've gotten away with it for at least the last 8 years or 7 years since you tried to get the city to buy it in 2017, 2018. And I was there, as you know. And there was an evaluation at that time by a valuation analyst who disputed the facts that were brought forward at that time. And that's one of the reasons why, when I got on the commission and we got a new city manager, we asked, hire somebody and get to the bottom of this and find out what's going on. Because as a customer, as a regular, as a citizen, this is supposed to be, stated in the lease, a first-class amenity for the residents of Ocoee. And it's not. And I feel like if we can't admit that and as friends talk about it, we're not going to get anywhere in a mediation. There's nothing to mediate. The thing to mediate is the solution. How are you going to finance these repairs? How are you going to finance the greens? Let's take the greens. Do you admit the greens need to be redone? Let's just take that. And how are you going to finance that? And how long is it going to take? Because those aren't good greens.
We would do 9 holes at a time. And so we would get the back 9 done as the first 9 and try to get that back as soon. Now, whether we can time it so that we could do the other 9 in the same period of time. When you close down, I mean, from a practical matter, when you close down a golf course, your employees go away.
Sure.
And I'm sorry to hear that our employees really, don't provide the same service. It is in the lease, Mayor, and we wrote this up, that we are supposed to have a snack bar. We didn't even have, when we first signed the lease, any right to sell, alcoholic beverages other than beer. So, you're taking a lease and you're putting words a little bit, in my opinion, my humble opinion, you're putting words into the way the lease was really written.
But to my point, we haven't, and I don't mean disrespect to you, but we haven't had a reasonable conversation about this golf course in 10 years. We haven't been able to have one. It's been a defense. It's been, oh no, tonight, oh no, it's absolutely a first-class golf course. It's a first-class driving range. It's not. It's not a first, I would struggle, and I love the place with my heart. My wife will tell you, I love that place just probably as much as you do.
I doubt that, but go ahead.
Yeah, you'd be wrong. And there isn't anymore at this point the condition. It has been so abused, and forgive me, I think you've sucked so much money out of it in profit rather than reinvesting in it, that it is in an absolute default condition. And I think what we need, frankly, what I need, is I just need a come to Jesus moment and sit down. It shouldn't take very long to sit down and negotiate a plan. You're going to need financing. You're not going to cash flow these changes. You willing to put a plan together and do that or not? Because if you're not, and I'm giving you the courtesy of being totally honest with you. If you're not, I'm done. Because I've done the complaints.
Where did they go?
Your man sitting right there.
Okay.
So I want to know, we can't have this argument over the facts. The facts are clear, and we've had delay tactics. Some of these say, well, we can't find this, we can't do it. We've sat here for 6 months arguing about what we can have, what we can see. What if this commission had voted to pay $7 million for that golf course and then gotten to see that it needs another, let's call it $5 million in repairs? And I know we've had private conversations, I know have profited, I know that your price is based on a multiple of your profits. This golf course was created with the intent, and you say, well, you borrowed the money, you built it, whatever. But this golf course was built, this contract was designed with the intent that you got a bargain lease. You're not paying the fair market value of leasing 229 acres in Ocoee, that you would build, maintain an asset that would revert to the city. When your lease expires, we're supposed to take in first-class condition these assets that you, as an expert developer, build and maintain and transfer to us. And you're failing to do that. If we got that asset right now, it is in no way what the citizens, not us, not me, I'm taking it personal because I'm a golfer and I love the place, but the taxpayers have gotten ripped off out of this deal. They don't have the asset that they're supposed to have. And that's a problem. That's a very serious problem. And it has to be addressed. And what I want to know, I'll ask you one last time, I apologize. I'm very passionate about this. I've waited a long time for today. I sat here through these whatever hearings and bit my tongue and made that solely about the assignment. No, we're not assigning the golf course in this condition without a plan from somebody with the money and the capability and the plan and the golf course experience to fix this. And I'm not continuing with this lease without a plan and the financing and your golf course expertise perhaps to fix this and to make this what it is specified legally in a contract to be, a first-class amenity for the benefit of the citizens of Ocoee. That's what's in black and white. So I'll give you the floor. I don't care about time. Answer that. Are you there? Have I shocked you to there? Where are we at? Is there something to mediate here or not?
Well, I think there's definitely something to mediate. I meant, we have the expertise to do anything and everything that we, can do. I mean, we have the backing of, many of our distributors and suppliers. We have national accounts with Rainbird. We have national accounts with Toro. We have, certain special,
I know you do.
fertilizer chemical deals with people. So yes, it takes a lot to maintain a golf course. There's no question. Yeah. And
So-
personally,
Go ahead.
I can be.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I can tell you we can sit down and discuss till day's end what we can and can't do to get.
Well, can we do it on a time frame, on a realistic, immediate?
What I would suggest is that you need to get a little bit of a golf committee that sits down.
We have one.
Oh, good. We've never talked to you.
Robert Utsi, Bob Doyle.
Yeah, I think.
Go ahead.
My turn.
Okay, go ahead.
He doesn't love it as good as I do. I was there from Lester Dabbs, Vern Combs,
Well,
and I'm not really upset about it, but it is upsetting when people talk to you all the time, and I play out there. I'm not the kind of golfer he is, but I've played out there. I can hack it around. I've won 2 club championships because of handicaps, thank God. But that course is a great place. I used to go there when it first opened and take people for business lunches. You can't go there and have a business lunch. Most time, the guy, and I'm not gonna get in an argument about this, but they're leaving all the time. Those cooks you got, they don't stay there. They said the other day the guy was leaving when he went in to get something to eat. He said he's had his time, he was going. And whether we had the booze there or not back then days, it was still a great place to go because it was laid out, it was a great course. But here's the big thing to me. We did that to help with the sewer thing, which connected to the deal. But the other thing was because it was going to be a community golf course set up for the citizens of the city to be a member in retrospect to go there. That was one of the things it was. It was supposed to be a community golf course for our citizens. And
How many residents of the city do you think are members of?
I don't know because.
You care to know?
Here's another one. They ended up costing us, we were supposed to get a 10% discount for citizens, but instead, we got to pay $25 to get on the thing to get the 10%.
It's been $15 since we started the lease.
15 or 18 bucks, and then you gotta pay to get on the other thing to keep you, that's beside the point, that's a little money there. The main thing is, you have never had a youth kids group there. I went over to, last year, to Ocoee Beach at the golf course. Now, it's not the best shape in the world, but I'll tell you what they got. When we went out on a Saturday morning to play golf, they had 100 women and kids out there, the youth group. We've never had a youth group up there, never. And I hate to say this, but Jim Beach used to try everything to get his golf tournaments there. We had to go to Green Valley because y'all would never work it out where they could play golf there. The handicap money raising for handicapped kids. Never did he have his tournament there, maybe one time, I can remember. But the rest of the time it was Green Valley because they would take them. The other one is the high school golf team. I went out to Stony Brook, had a luncheon out there, which you can go there. If you go there, you got a nice restaurant, you got outside music playing, they got people out there doing it. I went there. They've got a big sign hanging right on the back wall, West Orange High School Golf Course. We don't. You don't let them come out there and do that.
Yes, they do.
No, we don't. They have sometimes, not all the time, Ken. Let's be honest about it. They don't. You don't have a sign that says West Orange High School.
Oh, no, we don't have, I'm sorry, we don't have a sign, Mayor, but they are out.
I've talked, listen, I don't want to get into all that, and I'm sorry about it. To me, it means a lot to my heart because I'm telling you, that land, we bought that deal specifically where it would be and it is on our recreation thing for the state. For where it be for the citizens of the city, they have a pleasant place to go. And I don't want to hear about, we should have been out there knocking on the door to tell you to fix it. That ain't how it works. And if you wasn't making a profit, you'd have been gone a long time ago. And I still say, you wanted to get rid of it. Y'all were trying to get rid of it. So that to me means there's problems. But before I finish, we're going to take a break. I just think it goes back. I've often wondered why, and I've asked about y'all. I've asked before, and I think I've asked you, why would you not be open? Like on Friday night, my wife don't play golf. I like to take her out there on Friday night and have a dinner. You can't do that. You cannot do it. I mean, it's bad enough I'm gone or off doing it, and everybody else. If you play golf, you know how it is. You go out there. You cannot go out there and sit down with your wife. Besides some of the comments I hear, I wouldn't want to do it. But like on a Friday night or a Saturday night, you could come out there and have entertainment, but you can't do that because y'all said the city wouldn't let you stay open. That's not true. Oh, all right. Think about all this. We'll answer. We're going to talk. We'll get Kurt back up here in a minute. I'm going to take a 5-minute break because I got to go to the bathroom. Yeah. 5-minute break. I'm going to go to the bathroom.
got the. You got some.
Minutes is over. Back behind. Oh,
Sorry.
all right.
There's a line.
All right, we're gonna start the meeting back. Mr. Hardeman?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mayor,
All right.
Commissioners. Based on the comments that I perceived, it looks like the commission is interested, and I don't want to be presumptuous, but you're interested in number 2, the mediation pending lease termination. If that's the case, then I think the applicant is also interested in mediation. And if the applicant, not the applicant, excuse me, the Forest Lake is interested in mediation.
Mediation, not pending termination. Mediation would be great.
Well, pending termination is the option, I guess, at this point.
Keep
So-
that in the.
But we don't know what's going to happen at mediation, so.
I know.
So bottom line is, the question, I think, would be time, time when this mediation could happen. We think it would be appropriate to make sure we've got probably a strong mediator. Talk about it. Logan. But my expectation was that Forest Lake and the city would each split the cost of the mediator. And if that's acceptable, then I don't know if 30 days is acceptable, is too
30
long, too
days.
short. But in any event, if you like that, then the thought would be approve mediation, the parties will go to mediation. If we're able to reach an agreement, it would only be a potential agreement for consideration by the city commission.
Right.
It would come back to the city commission probably, I don't know when the next meeting would be, after
be in March.
30 days.
It had to be in March,
March 4th, so that's,
March the 4th.
so that's 30 days, or rough, no, it's be a little less than 30 days, probably
What is-
20 days or so.
Today's the what, 5th, 4th?
Today's the
It gives 30 days.
4th. Be a little less than 30 days, but,
Can I make just one suggestion?
How about March 8th?
If we have an opportunity to extend that, that will give us more opportunity to cure in full some of these items that we're in process with, so that everybody feels comfortable with what we have done.
I'm not comfortable going more than 30, and I don't know, Scott, Commissioner Kennedy, we're spending money all the time anyway. This ain't no freebie for us either, so it's costing us money. I'm for 30 days. I'm asking you. 30 days. Yep. Or go to the end of that week of March, but it's gonna have to come back to us anyway.
ju-
So
just
after
as
the
a
30 days
comment-
is over, it's gonna wait 2 more weeks before it comes to us, which is March the 18th.
well,
So is it 30 days with the mediation pending termination.
So the thought would be, if we can mediate within that 30 days, then if it's late in the game, and it looks like that we can achieve a mediation, pushing any action back to the second meeting, action for consideration by the commission to the second meeting in March. The 18th, March 18th would be for consideration. So the idea would be we do everything reasonably possible to have a mediation with an acceptable mediator within 30 days. And if worse comes to worse and we have to do something, regardless, we would be back to the commission no later than March the 18th.
All right, I'm gonna ask you, here's the deal. I think, as far as our part.
Yes, sir.
Would be you guys, the ones, and our
City
city
manager.
manager. Your team and our city manager.
Yeah, that's a great question. So we could talk about that. It may be helpful also to bring in one member of the city commission to that. I haven't really vetted that idea, but sometimes, you all are the principals, he's a principal. So we
I'm
don't
talking about
have,
bringing in the city manager.
city manager, that's fine. We'll go with that. We'll go with the city manager. He will be our principal, but he's not going to be able to bind anybody.
No.
And the Forest Lake folks cannot bind anybody
No.
until and unless it comes back to the city commission for your consideration. And you may say, forget it. You may want to tweak it. You may say, we love it. But it's up to you all ultimately as the decision maker. I mean, assuming we reach some form of a recommended agreement.
You've got a certain amount of money's got to be met about doing what's got to be fixed. So y'all can discuss that in mediation. But
Yeah.
That's going to have to happen on that golf course.
Yes, sir.
So we'll give you 30 days and bring it back, and then it comes back to us on the 18th of,
Yes, sir.
18th of March. I'm saying you keep Robert and you and your team and Craig.
Got it.
Because either one of us, even I as a mayor, I don't want to sit in on it. I want you guys to
We'll
do
do
it,
it.
not commissioners,
That's
not
fine.
us. The
Good.
team.
Yes, sir.
All right.
If that's acceptable, then we'll
All right, do I have
presume it's
consensus on that,
acceptable
or do we
to
have
Forest
vote
Lake.
on it?
I just want to make
Mayor?
one quick observation.
Could I just request, if we determined we needed anybody off Robert's team, would I have your authority to
Yes, sir.
add them to
I said
the
the team.
mediation? Okay,
Yeah.
all right, thank you.
did.
You need,
I just want to make a quick observation. As a former Florida Supreme Court mediator, it takes just to set up appointments to mediate about a week and a half to 2 weeks. And then you're talking about another 2 weeks to try to figure out how to go through this session. It takes about 4 sessions on an average to come to any type of conclusion, whether you're going to say, yeah, we agree, no, we don't agree, or
Well,
kick it back to the courts.
we down to the
So you're looking at about
Commissioner.
6 weeks just to have a actual mediation, a complete mediation, and that's what I've seen in the past as I've actually done that type of work before.
No, sir. Yeah, I'm telling you, 30 days is plenty of time. We're paying as it goes. So if we keep going, you're gonna keep paying. For 30 days, we've had 7 or 8 months going over this. They all know what it is. They know, and they know. 30 days. And we've got consensus.
I'd like to vote.
Well, we're gonna vote.
Yeah.
We're gonna vote. But I'm just saying, all right. 20, huh?
I want to vote. Wait, are you gonna, you want to make the motion?
I need a motion. I can't make the motion. Listen,
I think, I'll make a comment. I think Commissioner Oliver has an observation that is sometimes true about mediation. I've been in a lot of mediations. I've never mediated anything more than 6 hours. Usually in the first 15 minutes, you know whether you're going to solve something or not. As I said, for me, this is about the will for you all to, A, admit or have a realization, pardon me, of where you're at, and to present a plan to get out of default and meet the requirements of the lease. If you should be able to show up at mediation with that plan, you should have it, as was said. This has been going on a long time. So while I frankly am not convinced, and I don't have faith that this will be resolved, I want to be wrong. I want to be proven wrong. So I'm going to make the motion to immediately begin mediation for a period of 30 days, mediation pending termination, and for staff to put this on the March 18th agenda for a staff report and a vote.
I will second that.
motion made by Commissioner Kennedy. You need to read it off again, or? All right, so, and seconded by Commissioner Wilson. Let's vote. Thought so. Mayor, is commissioners voted yes, all except Commissioner Oliver. All right,
Thank you very much, appreciate it.
all right. Y'all will handle that getting together with it.
Yes, sir, we'll deal with it.
All right. Okay, all right, we're down to comments from commissioners. Before we get into that, I'm gonna read these, before I have to do it on my own, while somebody's still here. February, the city is holding our 20th annual Black History Month Essay Contest. The essay contest is for fifth grade students attending Ocoee schools. The winners will be recognized and presented with prizes at our city commission meeting on March the 4th. Additionally, segments that highlight significant people and events from African American history will air on Ocoee TV Spectrum Channel 493. Fourth Annual Central Florida Chili Cook-Off, this Saturday, February the 8th, from 12 p.m. through 4 p.m., McKee Street, downtown Ocoee. Sample 30 chili varieties provided by local restaurants and chefs. Food trucks, live entertainment, and a kids zone. The fundraiser supports legacy events for education, inspiring students, teachers, and communities. Women's Club of Ocoee Political Forum for District 4 candidates, Wednesday, February the 12th at 7 p.m. The public is invited to meet and hear the candidates for City Commissioner District 4. The race will match incumbent George Oliver III against challenger Aegis Hart. The forum will be televised and live streamed on Ocoee TV, Spectrum Channel 493. Candidates will field questions from residents. Here's a good one, Valentine's Day celebration. Friday, February the 14th from 6 through 9, Ocoee Lakeshore Center, Bill Breeze Park, and Withers McGuire House. Join us for live music, food, vendors, and more. Whew, flip over, okay. March 2025, Spring into Conservation, Saturday, March the 1st, 9 o'clock through 1 p.m., Bill Breeze Park. There will be activities such as rain barrel painting, in which pre-restoration is required, and free plants will be given to residents with proof of residency. St. Patrick's Day Block Party, Friday, March the 14th from 6 p.m. through 9 p.m., downtown Ocoee, McKee Street. Join us for music, games, food, vendors, and more. All right, Commissioner Ferschner.
Well, Meg covered it all. I just wanted to say, how nice that mural looks downtown. It was really done well, and it really brightens up McKee Street quite a bit. And I can't wait to see more.
Okay.
Commissioner Oliver.
First, I wanted to thank the city manager for giving us an update on Clark Road and the completion of Clark Road. We have a lot of residents that's asking questions about it, so you've answered a lot of those questions. So thank you so much for that. Also, residents of District 4, you probably have noticed that you're seeing certain towers in areas such as Claricon-Ocoee Road and Clark Road. There is a 5G tower that's been installed there. There's also one on the corner of McCormick and Clark Road, which is actually going to cover all of District 4. So 5G technology is actually on the way in District 4. Also, in addition to that, we also have fiber optic cabling going in. So you see trucks on the side of the road, a lot of construction going on. Be patient as we're installing fiber optic cabling throughout District 4. Also, we mentioned the election is going to be March 11th, and if you are a voter and plan on voting in that election, and you voted in the last election, it is one good thing to know that according to state law, after every general election, the rolls will be scrubbed. So if you actually receive a vote by mail, and you're expecting to vote by mail for this election, and it doesn't show up, it's because you did not re-register to vote. You can go to the Orange County Supervisor of Elections, and right there at their landing page, you can actually re-register to vote by mail. It takes about 3 minutes to do so. So again, if you're waiting on those vote by mail ballots, you have to re-register after every general election. And the last thing I have for you is a quote. If there's no struggle, there is no progress. It's a famous quote that's attributed to Frederick Douglass. He was an escaped slave and a prominent abolitionist. He highlights the idea that achieving possible change often requires facing challenges and achieving and actively fighting for it. Essentially, progress cannot be made without overcoming obstacles. That's all I got.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Just want to make a comment. I never like to talk about something that's second and third hand, but someone brought to my attention that it's been a concern that Oakland Avenue is going to be a golf golf-cart-only street, which is wrong. If anyone remembers 10 years ago in the master plan, that the goal was to make Oakland Avenue going east and west, divided by a walkway, which would eventually, hopefully, we'd hook up to a trail. So that was the plan 10 years ago. So I can't stress enough that when folks, I'm not a social media person, I try to stay off of it, but when you read things, if you want to confirm them, please contact us. We all have cell phones. City Hall, you can get information. We just don't want, I don't want people to be discouraged and hear things that aren't true. And it's important to me that we are transparent. We're always talked about during elections that we're not transparent. Well, sometimes we are we are transparent, I feel we are, not sometimes. But sometimes we're fighting against social media, telling people the opposite of something. And that's a concern. So please, my cell phone number is listed. I have folks that call me. I welcome the conversations, and if I don't know the answer, I will find out. But I'd rather you find it out from one of us than finding out incorrect information. And again, it just gets people riled up and for no reason. Oakland Avenue is not going to be, we do not have any golf cart only streets that I'm aware of in the city of Ocoee. They all shake their head. Mm-hmm. And we've discussed golf carts, but that road will be open and it's really looking well. There was a lot of infrastructure that had to take place, and we all know along Bluford Avenue, when we started that, we found there was things under the road that we didn't know about. And so as we go ahead and work on these streets, it may take extra time, but Oakland Avenue will eventually be opened up, and it looks really good. And when you see where there's parking spaces on the side of the street, usually that would signify that's not a golf cart. So please, if you have questions, I think I can speak for everyone up here, every commissioner up here, the mayor, that we all take phone calls and we all have cell phones and we have an office, you can leave a message. So please, we'd like you to be informed. Also, one more thing, I know on the consent agenda, there was a item for census. I don't know if everyone knows about census where you can watch your water consumption. It's a great way to know if you have a sprinkler issue or maybe a pipe under your house that you didn't think about that was leaking. So again, you can judge how much water you use every day. So it's a great thing to sign up for. Go to the utilities website and sign up for it. Just all you need is your account number. And it's where you can watch what you're consuming, your household consumption, which is very important. I missed it and ended up having the house replumbed, but again, I would have probably found it a month before if I had paid attention to census. So thank you, and we will see you in 2 weeks.
You sure that's a road?
Is that, now don't stop.
All right, Commissioner
I'm
Kennedy.
done.
I just had to say that. Commissioner Kennedy.
I do have comments tonight. First of all, I want to quibble a little bit with Commissioner Wilson's comment. I would disagree that people are spreading false information for absolutely no reason. I think they're doing it for very obvious, intentional reasons. But I would echo her statement that if you have any questions or you question anything that you hear, contact one of us or contact city staff, and they're happy to give you the facts. I also want to speak a little bit about the event that we had prior to the meeting, unveiling the mural, kind of the kickoff, one of the kickoff events of the 100-year anniversary festivities. That was really great. I thought staff did a wonderful job putting that together. And what I really loved about it was all of the downtown businesses that came out. They supported it, they enjoyed it, and I think that's what we're really trying to build with Oakland and all of these projects, is we're trying to bring the community, the business community, the city staff, we're trying to better coordinate and communicate on these types of things and include everybody and make it profitable for them, which is important, and create a better life and a better downtown amenity for the citizens. So I thought this was wonderful. Craig, thank you so much for your leadership and your staff for putting that together. And I think we've got a whole year, hopefully, of great events like the one we had tonight. I'm really looking forward to it. That's my comment.
All right, that it? That's it. Okay, real quick, the Boy Scouts last year, we let them use the ballroom, they only used 6 hours, and they used it at the ballroom A, so just one, is for their annual recognition for the kids. So I'd like to see if we can let them do it again, if we didn't charge them, so.
Sure.
Do I need to vote on that, or is it consensus? Consensus. Is that all right? Yes, sir. Okay, thank you. They sent a letter to me, so, what is it?
Did you also get the email about the school?
Yeah, she never called back. Yeah, well, hang on a minute.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll let you. The voting places, he named off, where's the locations?
All of them.
So the polling places are going to be for District 1 and 4, Jim Beach Center. For District 2, Ocoee Lakeshore Center. For District 3, it will be the Fire Station 39 on McGuire Road.
All right, so we'll have 3.
It's 4 polling places, but 3 locations.
Yeah, that's
Because
what I'm
2
saying.
of them are in
Yeah.
Jim Beach.
All right, I just wanted to make sure everybody knows that.
It's all located on the website as well. It's
All right.
located on the city's website. Yeah.
If you're here and you heard all the stuff, now, I'm sorry about that. This thing's been going on for a long time, and I want us to make sure we all understand this is for what the benefit of the city citizens is about, is getting this thing straightened out for all of us, where we can, it's things that should have been already worked on. All right. I don't know how you can remember all those, but there is pamphlets in the lobby that has all these different functions on it. So if you can't remember, so they're out there.
The
Now,
school, yeah, I don't, again, I thought she was coming tonight, that the person who was.
we give how much last year?
I'm not really sure. The Ocoee High School, when they were going to the legislative days, I know that Melissa
At the high
Bird.
school, y'all
Melissa
remember?
Bird, is that something individually you want to?
We got $120,300 in the
She was at,
contingency.
the person was asking me about helping with the second bus. Does anyone remember getting emails about that
Yeah,
regarding?
I did.
Does anyone know?
I did not get an email about it. I'm at the pleasure of the commission, and you can
got our
designate an
number?
amount, and we can make sure that they
Well, we
get
can find it. The point of it is, it's all about how much money we can give them. So
Well, it's advocacy, it was regarding. Well, it was Ocoee High School. Last
they
year
take
took.
the student, the student union or whatever they call it now. I don't know what it's called.
Where?
This is separate from the youth council?
Student Government Association.
Tallahassee?
Separate from the youth council.
Yes, it's separate from the youth council. I mean,
Yeah, no, it's not the youth, it's the
Y'all get
school.
extra emails?
Yeah, I committed $500 for my discretionary.
You already did?
fund. Yeah.
Okay, then,
Yeah, that's
They
where
would give
that should come
1,000,
from.
huh?
That should come from discretionary.
okay, so
Okay.
so this
All right.
person can approach each one of us
Yeah.
individually. for the
I got
discussion.
an email, yeah.
You've
Send her
already,
one back and tell her to send each one of us again, and we can,
Okay,
I'll give her a buzz too.
okay.
Okay, just so, it's a personal choice I just wanted to bring it up. I really
Yeah,
didn't
okay.
think about, because I thought she was
glad.
coming tonight.
I didn't receive an email. I usually get those type of emails.
I did too.
I'll find it and
Reach out to the school and find out.
I will find it and send it to Sherry to ask her to
Yeah,
send it
sure.
out.
They can
Yeah.
circulate it to the rest of the.
Okay,
All right.
thank you.
Once again, I want to thank the city staff, city manager, and all the commissioners, especially for voting to pay for that mural downtown is a great addition. I was trying for 20 years to get another mural on there of just something. And finally now we've got a mural up there that tells about the different things of what a city history and part of it is. If you've seen it,
It's
you need to
sharp.
go down and look at it. It's great. So, thank you, staff, and thank you, Craig, and commissioners. Thank you. All right. Thank you.